What's up, everybody? Welcome to From the Archive, the series in which I'm going to go through my personal stash, an archive of books, whether it's wargame related or not, and pick one and share it with you all, like talk about it, things of that nature. Over the years of being, a nerd and into this hobby and whatnot, I've amassed a collection of books, and for one reason or another, I tend to keep them, and whether or not I even really enjoy them, I just tend to keep them because I like physical, tangible books on stuff. And a lot of these books, pretty much all these books you're looking at here in one way or another, has helped shape my personal tastes, thoughts, and ideas when it comes to collecting miniatures in this wargaming hobby, maybe as direct inspiration or just something in the back of my mind. So I thought it would be cool as I unpack these things to share them with you. So what I'm going to do in each ramble, I'm going to pick one book kind of haphazardly, and I'm gonna go sit down at the table with you, and we're gonna look through it. I'm gonna give a basic thought synopsis on it, share my opinions on it, break it down a little bit, maybe look inside of it a little, and just talk about it, whether it's a novel, a codex, or a tabletop RPG book or whatever. So some of these books I have multiples of for some reason, not really sure why. Other books I do not, and it's just going to be some fun. I thought it'd be cool to kind of get some insight, perhaps, and share my thoughts on stuff that I have in my small little personal collection here, and for you all to share your thoughts as well on what I'm looking at when it comes to the book in question. What you have? Do you have the same book? What are your thoughts on it? And things like that. So this should be a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab one of these books, and I'll meet you at the table. Welcome to the table. So it's been a while, but this is going to be episode 2 for From the Archive. Pardon the bit of the glare. It's kind of a glossy cover here, and the AC noise. It's hot down here. So anyways, with that said, I thought I would showcase for the second episode a book that's probably the oldest book I own, and it's got a lot of sentimental value for me personally, but it represents, for the purposes of this video series, just a book that isn't miniature wargaming but can still be useful. And it's not necessarily that they go out and try and hunt this down. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying books like this, kind of an illustrated encyclopedia, in this case of modern warfare, can go a long way for inspiration for collecting your forces. Whether it's a historical war game, 40k, kind of neo-modern-esque sci-fi stuff or whatever the case might be, it's a way to draw inspiration. You can get inspiration from real-world things, and when it comes to miniature war games, warfare in the real world is definitely a source of inspiration. Now, if you're doing something like fantasy, not really gonna... This Modern Warfare book isn't necessarily going to be a style that you're going to look for, but still, it's pretty useful. It's pretty beat up. It's more or less how I remember it. I've had this book since, I basically was steward of the book since I was a kid, and it's been more or less kind of banged up like this. I don't know if it's possible to get books restored, or this would be restorable. But it's definitely one I would consider because, like I mentioned, it's got a lot of sentimental value for me. But carefully opening it up. This book is from, I believe, late 70s. So, British publishing. So, I don't really know. I might own some a little bit older books, but I have to double check it. Anyways, this only goes to like the beginning of the B's, and it's a collection of weapons and warfare, collection of, I guess, a little magazine type series, encyclopedia series that was done, and it goes over a multitude of different things for warfare. You got the zero, and it goes by military designation, so we're in the A's. That's why you're seeing the zero, because the zero is an A6M 07 Mitsubishi. So, just to kind of case you're wondering, hey, wait a minute, you said this is encyclopedia and it goes from A to B. Why is there 0 in here? That's why. Yeah, Weapons of Warfare is kind of a collection of stuff from that. And it's just really handy and really interesting. I find it personally a very interesting book. I've paged through it too many times to count. And for our purposes in miniature wargaming, in particular 40K and the like, we are looking at drawing inspiration from pictures and artwork here in the form of camouflage, coloration to consider. Even though this is a World War I era plane, the coloration that's used on it might be something that you can provide inspiration for you for a force or something, or it's something to consider. Another source of coloration, inspiration, kind of a bold look there. So it's something like that. When it comes to markings on aircraft, where they put numerals on boats if you have some type of naval game. Trying to find a tank. Here we get to see a tank get shot up. That's pretty cool. So if you're looking to do some type of frame of reference for making a dust cloud around a blown up tank from the from ordnance or whatever, and it's just in and of itself, it's a neat book, and there are plenty of books like this that are also going to be equally neat. But when you're looking at inspiration for camouflage to be realistic, for example, on your force, or markings on a tank, camouflage on a tank, these things can really make or break the added level of painting. Not so much just for realism, if you're going for that on a force, but just to make it feel less a piece of painted plastic or whatever as a tank goes, or as aircraft goes, or whatever, and actually put markings on it that have a real correlation to something. It doesn't make us believe it's a real tank, right? Obviously, like a Land Raider or a Lehman Russ battle tank, we know those aren't real tanks in the real world, but you start putting, especially in the case of Astra Militarum stuff, markings on their tanks that coincide with things, and you have yourself something that just feels a bit more validated, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here and stuff, but it definitely can be inspirational where you want to kit bash up your own little like flak cannon stuff or anti-aircraft for your forces, or you're looking to do something for a bit of a different heavy weapons team for Astra Militarum. Whether you're looking to kind of draw inspiration even from naval ships, maybe you're doing some terrain pieces and it's got a beachhead on it, and you want to do wreckage, you can kind of at least get a general aesthetic shape down. Obviously, if you're doing something that's more based in real world stuff, it would be a bit more useful for you, but still, very cool stuff nonetheless. That's a very cool picture, just in general. But anyways, just some food for thought. It's a illustrated modern warfare book, taking weapons and warfare and doing it in a alphabetical context from A to the beginning of the B's. The Browning machine gun here at the end, and a tank, again with some interesting coloration. So food for thought for what you're doing in the hobby, whether it's terrain building, whether it's basing even, whether it's doing some type of camouflage for your tanks, whether you're doing some type of just weathering or display board. Not a miniature wargaming book at all. Very informative book and very interesting to read. I've definitely thumbed through this a lot. I take great care nowadays when I thumb through it. I don't like to open it too much because I really like to get the binding and stuff restored, which I have no idea if that's possible. If you do know, hit me up with a comment so I can look into that. But anyways, this is a bit different to do from the archive because I can't say, go to Amazon and do a search or go to eBay. I have no idea if you can find this or the others that go from A to Z, right? I have no idea. I just know I've had this since I was a kid. It's got a lot of sentimental value with the grandparents and everything. Thumbing through it with them and having them explain things from when they were in the service. So, that makes it really cool. In my book, I always found it very interesting. And in the realm of miniature wargaming, even just this main page, right, with the flamethrower, the sandbag wall and rock wall set up, and trees and the burning, just this little diorama potential right there for a little diorama piece could be inspirational enough for you, right? So it's things like that in the back picture that can just spark little bits of inspiration, and to add a little extra level of detail. Maybe there's a shovel or something, some type of bag or some type of cover over the barrel here, as you can see, so it doesn't get plugged up potentially with dust or whatever, to add a little extra bit of grit to your force. And that can really help make your force just have a little extra something special in comparison to just having a battle tank that looks cool. You just add a little bit extra. And sometimes in a painting competition, if that's what you're going for, or to get best in show at a tournament or whatever, it's those little things that really add up that make you get pushed ahead the others too. So inspiration is always fun and strikes pretty much from anywhere. Anyways, thanks very much for tuning in to this edition of From the Archive. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Share your thoughts. Again, if you know anything about bookbinding restoration, I'd love to hear about it. I would love to save this book and have it last for much longer. And that's pretty much it. Thanks very much for tuning in. What I'm going to try and do is alternate with the episodes, something miniature wargaming specific and something not miniature wargaming specific, but can still be useful for us in miniature wargaming. So I'm going to try to alternate back and forth. See how that goes. Anyways, hopefully it won't take me as long to do further episodes of From the Archive. I actually have fun pulling stuff out and dusting it off and taking a look at it for this. So hopefully you'll find some type of valuable info, maybe even valuable inspiration. There's that word again. So until next time, take it easy.